Coming up on this episode of Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover.
For the moment, we believe in Liam, we believe in Gladstone, whether or not they're not going to hit on 100% of the draft picks, they're not going to hit on 100% of the free agent acquisitions, but we believe that over and above, the arrow is pointing up and they're going to continue getting better. And this is just the start of what we're seeing in what I personally believe to be a 2-year build.
Thanks for joining us here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're bringing you our NFL Week 7 preview with a stacked slate, the final London game, and plenty to look forward to. I'm, of course, joined by my usual co-host in Byron and Joe. Gentlemen, how are you doing as we head into Week 7 of the NFL?
Buzzing, yeah. The weeks flying by, aren't they? Can you believe we're at Week 7 already? We're getting towards like forking teams, and we'll be out after recording the Steelers result. Steelers might have one foot in the playoffs by the time we get this episode out. It's crazy.
Yeah, 1 foot closer to hosting a playoff game, potentially. We're hoping not, though, not because we particularly dislike the Steelers, just because we want that division to stay open. And, of course, we love Joe Flacco. So, yeah, fingers crossed. And Charlie picked the Bengals, so that's ultimately why we're wanting the Bengals to at least cover, preferably win, as great teams do. Joe, yeah, how are you getting on, buddy? Are we all set for Week 7?
Yeah, obviously it's the last UK game, so the early mornings is be over for a few more weeks until we're back in Europe again. But yeah, so it's enjoyable having football from 7:30 in the morning till 10 in the evening. It's always good. So yeah, looking forward to actually, hopefully, one of us is going to be there. A fun London game with two great teams, which will.
I feel like we've had 2 iffy ones, so yeah, the third time a charm, hopefully. And iffy is generous for the Broncos Jets from last week. Well, yeah, I'll be there as mentioned. Yeah, I'll be there as mentioned. I'm probably going to be on Wembley way looking to speak to people. We're going to dive into there's a UK and European Rams party going on pre-game on Wembley way, so we're going to hopefully get into that. We spoke to John from the UK Rams who runs that, and hopefully he'll be able to get me in. He's expecting it to be busy, so we're going to go there, mics in hand. I'm going to be asking you about your bet, so come talk to me. If you see me on Wembley way, probably with Good Teams Win, Great Teams cover sign, come and talk to me about your bets, because I'm going to pester you about it. I'm like a right knob, but I don't really care. And then yeah, we'll get some stuff. Hopefully we're going to see some friends, hopefully as well. Friends of the show down there, and we'll record some bits outside Wembley. Next time, hopefully, we'll be in the box. We'll see. Shall we throw it over to our guest? We've got a fantastic one joining us. We've got the wonderful Travis Holmes, friend of the show and previous guest from Big Cat Country, Jaguars beat writer, and also his own podcast, Duval Dive, which focuses on all things Jacksonville Jaguars. So let's throw it over to me and Travis. Kicking off our NFL Week 7 preview, we've got a returning guest and friend of the show, Travis Holmes from the Duval Dive and Big Cat Country. He's joining us again. Travis, great to see you again. How have you been? It's been a minute since we talked to you last.
Yeah, it has been a lot has happened. The Jaguars are great. Obviously going to the Super Bowl, so that's always good. It's been a surprise of a season. But because it's been on the positive end of surprises, I think it's been a great year. That's where I'm landing.
Excellent. Yeah, there is a lot of hope, a lot of optimism. Like I said, life under new head coach Liam Cohen's been going so well, and of course you write about it, cover the games, and produce the Duval Dive podcast, so you must be enjoying life at the moment. How is all of that going? First of all, covering the Jags in all those different ways, and what have you got coming up across all those channels the rest of the way?
Well, first, we've talked to Marcus Ogden, brother of the former Baltimore Ravens offensive lineman, on Wednesday's Duval Dive, where we kind of just discussed the Week 6 affair for the Jaguars with their struggles at the offensive line. He's a former Jacksonville Jaguars offensive lineman, so we got to talk about the intricacies of how they struggled, why they struggled, kind of the ways that we can kind of resolve those issues before this upcoming game in London, this family affair. between the Rams and the Jags, and that was a great conversation. We also have the Believe in Rams from the Believe Podcast Network guys. Aaron and Tyler who joined us to preview this game also. So that's on the Duval Dive podcast. On the Big Cat Country side of things, the written format. We're going to have our staff predictions for the game, our X factors, just breaking everything down. And also our post-game write-up afterwards. Hopefully, that's going to be for a win for the Duval Devout as they head into that bye week. And we'll obviously have all your updates as far as the final injury report and all of that. So definitely favorite that site and keep it locked in.
Excellent. We know one of another friend of ours. I'm pretty sure Cy Carroll's still writing for Big Cat Country as well. Yes. So we've got Simon from over here in the Northwest, still writing for Jack. So yes, we've got that connection as well. So awesome to have not one but two guys from Big Cat Country as friends of the show. And you mentioned sort of Travis there straight away. It's been a fantastic start to the season. Would you say it has gone kind of beyond it's only 6 weeks, but has it gone beyond kind of that initial optimism and expectation you had about how good the Jaguars might be this year?
Right. That's when you hire your executive vice president, Tony Baselli, and you hire a new first-time general manager in James Gladstone, you hire a first-time head coach in Liam Cohen, you have a lot of first-time everything's going across the roster. You have questions going into that season. And when we last spoke, there were a few lingering questions. I mean, let's be honest about it. Like, hey, I don't know. I think this is going to work, the offensive coordinator, because you've seen him call plays. You haven't seen him lead a team top to bottom, but you can see the vision there at least. You don't know what to expect from the defensive coordinator going into the season. You don't even know what to expect organizationally until you kind of just can start seeing those transactions take place. And they showed you in the draft they were going to be bold in drafting Travis Hunter with that trade. They showed you they knew how to work the media market and the landscape with all of that between Tony Baselli and all those guys who have that history in the media. And they've shown you that they kind of know how to maneuver and kind of just go in and out within this NFL landscape in this offseason, so much so that I think they've gotten the attention of all the NFL leadership across the league. And I think they've already done a very good job of earning the respect, not just of the players in that locker room, not just the fans, but also players for other organizations who may have a little bit of interest in even joining this Jaguars organization moving forward. Like, I think they've done a great 180 on how people look at the Jaguars, both agents, players, etc.
Yeah, I think you're right.
But I do think we're absolutely kicking the coverage right now. Let's say it in that way. I don't think if you would have asked any Jacksonville Jaguar fan at the end of week 6, this past offseason, at the end of week 6, if you were to be 4-2 with wins over the Chiefs, wins over the Texans, you're 1-0 in AFC South play. You basically just lost against the Seahawks and you lost against the Bengals. Would you take that? And any Jacksonville Jaguar fan 100% would have given you a slam the table moment of absolutely. Like, I think they're absolutely ahead of schedule. And win or lose this London game, I still think that, this is a great start to the season with the weakest part of their schedule happening after the bye. And if they win it, it's going to be hard to keep these guys quiet during that bye week. I can tell you that.
Well, that's it. It's a great place to be. And I think that point you made there about kind of doing the 180 on the perception of the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it's happened so quickly, which I think, again, is a testament. And that point about just being bold. And I think we've seen that in the moves you mentioned in the offseason, particularly the draft. And then I think we've seen that come in this first 6 weeks around being bold and kind of just not leaving anything out there in terms of, fire all the bullets in the, from the chamber sort of approach. There was one duff referee call from 5-1 because Travis Hunter got pinged for that PI call against the Bengals that gave them victory.
But let's be real. Let's be clear. It's not even just bold in the guys that they brought in. It's also bold in the guys that they got rid of. Like, that's the other part that because we always look at bold. Of course, you just bring more guys in, spend more money, use more draft picks. That's fine. That's the easy part. they made the hard decisions of getting rid of guys who had big cap numbers, like Gabe Davis. Folks thought he was going to be on the roster solely and specifically because of how big his cap number was in 2025, and they said, "I don't care if you're not the right player, you're gone." Christian Kirk gone, Evan Ingram gone, Tyson Campbell recently gone. It's Darnell Savage. I mean, there's a list of guys who moderately recently signed contracts that are no longer on that Jaguars roster. That is probably the most bold thing that they did, as far as guys just not being here. So I'm going to give them that credit. Like, they said they were going to be bold, and both in incoming and outgoing transactions, they absolutely have been.
Excellent. From what you've seen so far, so I know you go into games and cover the games. What's the feeling like? Because again, the way kind of it, like the end of the Doug Peterson couple of years was pretty sad. Sad way to kind of go out. How's the feeling kind of at the stadium, in and around Jacksonville now, this early into kind of this new regime?
I think again, everyone's kind of high on these guys. They're in that season of can't do wrong, and it's not to say that will always last, because eventually they're going to have a mistake. That one big one, I don't know when it's going to be, and I'm not wishing it on them, but I'm just being honest about what it is. They're not ever going to be perfect. Eventually something's going to happen where, oh, that was a terrible call, and they're going to lose the game on a questionable decision, or they're going to miss out on a player on something that should have been an option, and someone else is going to get them for a very cheap price, and they're going to be a great thing, and people are going to regret that decision not being made. Whatever the thing is going to be, it's going to happen. But it hasn't happened yet. I mean, again, we're only 6 weeks in, but so far, if you were to ask the people around Duval County, the people around the stadium, the guys we tailgate with every Sunday, they'll tell you, all right, no. I mean, for the moment, like, we believe in Liam, we believe in Gladstone. Like, whether or not they're not going to hit on 100% of the draft picks, they're not going to hit on 100% of the free agent acquisitions, but we believe that over and above, the arrow is pointing up, and they're going to continue getting better. And this is just the start of what we're seeing in what I personally believe to be a 2-year build. This is the start of it. And if you believe that this is truly just the start, then you have to have a positive outlook for the rest of this organization. And I think that's what you're seeing throughout the fan base. They're just believing that these guys are actually who they say they are. And it's encouraging.
Big difference already in this team, and for some of the story of what supported the early success is just the big leap they've taken. The defense has taken in taking the ball away. That was not easy to get out. I think we've seen the Jags in 6 weeks surpass the number of takeaways they got potentially in the whole of last season already. I think it was nine from last year and 14 already this year through 6 games. How has that kind of just flipped from 1 year to the next? Because we don't normally see that extreme change in turnover differential from 1 year to the next.
Well, honestly, it's just because they had bad coaching last year. I mean, we can pretend that it was something else, but we all kind of, if you watch this team close enough, and I'm not even saying from a media perspective, I'm just saying if you're a fan and you watch this close enough, you can easily see, well, yeah, that's obviously what it was. It was just a bad coach defense in 2024. They were bad at communicating. They had bad effort, and they also weren't put into the best situations historically. Like, they were one of the lowest ranked teams as far as the number of stunts that they ran, as far as how often they blitzed. They were a very predictable defense, so offenses knew where they would be, and that didn't help when you're also running top 3 in the league in man coverage. So your backs to the quarterback, you don't have an opportunity for very many turnovers. It was a very bad combination of factors. And then, like, this defense is a lot closer to that 2022 defense. Because Mike Caldwell ran a lot of zone defense with your eyes on the ball, where this defense also runs a lot of coverages with the linebackers and the defensive backs' eyes on the ball, which allows them to make more plays. Like, they may not end up being the number 1 defense in the league in points or whatever it may be, but just like that 2022 defense, I believe they ended 4th in the league in turnovers that season. So when you say, well, how did that big shift happen? In my head, the only reason the big shift happened is because they went back to what they were good at doing. they were originally good at doing this, even under Mike Caldwell. Like for all of his faults, he did have some faults. They were good at taking the ball away. But it was either a touchdown or a takeaway every series. That was that problem for that 2022-2023 defense. And then they went to an exclusively man defense in 2024. Now they're going back to zone, but doing zone in a more aggressive way. And I think that's the biggest difference. So now they've taken the wins from each of the defenses, being more aggressive, blitzing on key downs, playing a little bit more press coverage occasionally, but also playing a lot more zone coverage where these guys can have their eyes on the quarterback and make plays on the ball, and also force a lot of fumbles. The Jaguars actually tied for, I believe it's 6 in the league with 4 fumbles forced, whereas the Rams this week, they are 3rd in the league in fumbles lost at 5. So everybody's talking about the interceptions, and I'm like, dude, these running backs, they like to give the ball up. Maybe the Jaguars can get a punch out this week and kind of, change the game in that way.
Well, we've seen with the Rams, particularly with Kyron Williams, take you one to the face to then get the ball knocked out as well in recent weeks. So, look, however you get the job done, whatever you need to do. On the flip side of the ball, and I know we talked about when we did the preview of the Jags that this was kind of a huge year for Trevor Lawrence. How do you think kind of he started off the year and kind of adapting to kind of where they are offensively under Liam Cohen?
It's so funny because fans hate me when I have to talk about Trevor, because I'm always going to make sure I give him his flowers and also make sure I still acknowledge the difficulties that he does have in his game. I'm not the person that's going to fry him on the woodshed, but I'm also not the one that's going to just praise him for everything. I'm trying my best to be honest about what the film shows. So on the Duval Dive this past week, we literally had a film review section of the podcast that was solely just talking about all the good things he did. 10 minutes, broke it down with the film and everything else, and then 10 minutes talked about the struggles. And Kyle Nash with Fans First Sports Network, he also covers the Jaguars. He's my co-host, and he's just like, dude, that was one of the better podcasts we've had because we're talking about both sides of the equation. No one can call me a hater. It is what it is. With Trevor, he is incredible at the short stuff, just getting the ball out, just managing the offense, just being that game manager as far as that piece is concerned. It is still weird to me that the Jaguars have struggled with their screen game from the wide receiver position, with the blocking from the edges and things like that, because it's one of the staples of this offense. This Liam Cohen, Sean McVay, Kevin O'Connell, all those teams, it's one of the staples, and they haven't burst any of those, jailbreak and bubble screens just yet. And I also thought that was really weird, because those free yardages, that free yardage is what helps this team kind of keep the chains moving as an extension of the run game. But outside of those like bubble screens, I think Trevor's on those slants, he's generally good at, he may let a ball get away from him every so often, throwing it on the wrong shoulder to Brenton Strange, perhaps, like that would have resulted in a first down in week 3, things like that. But I think he's great at manipulating the pocket. He's back to his early, 2022 self there. And he's always been really good in the intermediate levels, that 10 to 15, maybe even 25 plus, range, crossers, corner routes, things of that nature. Where Trevor struggles significantly, in my opinion, now I think he's struggled with this for a very long time. This goes beyond this year, is his hero balls, which those passes that are 30 plus yards in the air, those streaks down the sideline, those post routes across the field. Those are the ones he's significantly overthrowing or he's significantly underthrowing. And because of that, he's now 29th in the league right now as far as completion rate on passes over 20 yards. And some of that's the receivers, to be clear, because some of those intermediate routes technically are still on the receivers. And those are the ones I think Trevor's good at. But we did it on the film review, and we showed you, like, hey, man, you got to keep the ball in bounds to Parker Washington this past week against the Seattle Seahawks, where he throws it like 7 yards out of bounds, and Parker Washington has this guy beat by 3 yards. You can't miss that. Or the De'Ami Brown streaking route down the sideline, where he has him in the hole in cover 2. You have to hit him. That's an NFL throw. He's wide open. You can't miss it. Things like that. So Trevor gets a lot of flack from the national media for what he's not, and he's really good intermediate, 25 yards and in, but that 25 yards and out, those 3 plays you're going to get a game that can change the game, that he's still struggling with the receivers getting on the same page with their pace and everything else. And that's his opportunity area right now.
Yeah, and those are kind of those big, huge plays that the top guys just don't miss, and that's kind of how momentum changes in games, and those couple of ways to get quick drive.
To be clear, the top guys do miss them, but you can't miss them frequently. That's the biggest point.
Yeah, and those ultimately are the kind of the game changing sort of plays that can kind of break games open, or just if you need a quick score. Those are the kind of plays that need to happen.
Those are the type of plays that keep you up at night. Like, that's really what it is. It's like, oh, if I could have just hit that one. That's the difference of a 3-point game, 7 points in a game we lost by 3, or a game we could have been in overtime, or whatever it may be. Like, those are the plays.
So there's been a lot on Trevor. I think there'll always just be noise about Trevor Lawrence throughout his entirety of his NFL career. And that's just going to be the way it is. Brian Thomas has had a slower start to the year than everybody was expecting, just because of how good he was in his rookie year. We've also seen kind of Travis Hunter as well, still kind of seem to be finding his way. How do you assess kind of how those kind of skill players have kickstarted the year, and is there a lot more to come from that group?
Well, I mean, there has to be a lot more to come from that group if they're going to be successful. I'll say that. I mean, you didn't expect for when Brenton Strange to get injured and placed on IR that he'd be the leading receiver for the team at the time with 20 catches. I believe it was just over 200 yards. So the fact that they were had 4 wins at that time, just amazing. But also that indicates that obviously the receiver group, the skill position group in the passing game are struggling getting on the same page within this complex, Liam Cohen offense. Like, both things are true there. They were happy to have Brenton Strange to be able to kind of keep the chains moving and, be that first down guy while the receivers are figuring it out. But yes, they are still figuring it out. That's why they're having so many pre-snap penalties. I believe Travis Hunter has 4 on the season in 6 games. That's not a frequent thing for a wide receiver to have 4 penalties in such a short amount of time. But like, you have the offside penalty that took away the Brian Thomas Jr. long touchdown this past week. That was rough because the film shows that he did actually ask the ref, was he offsides, but the ref didn't seem to respond. So I don't know how that works with the new rule. What the refs say they don't really help the players, but nevertheless, can't be offsides. And things like that. So they just have so many pre-snap penalties that's putting them in bad downs and distances that is making it really hard on the overall offense. Just speaking of the receiver rooms specifically, and that's not just a receiver Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter problem. That's also a Trevor Lawrence problem because they go hand in hand. They're getting on the same page on where I should sit down in my zone. Quarterback reads this as I should be throwing it to the right. You view it as I should be throwing it to the left. This is an incompletion or interception. We're just not on the same page. I think I should be sitting it down. You think I should be going. Now I'm throwing a back shoulder fade and you're not even there. Things like that. It's just been an ongoing issue since the preseason, and they've had good weeks occasionally, like against the Kansas City Chiefs, that it seemed to be all right. This is what it could be. Like, this is good. And then you have those down weeks where it's like, oh, this is rough. We really got to figure this out. So close to that Houston Texans game. And now, as of today, as we sit here talking about it today, I'm not 100% sure where they're going to land. Brian Thomas Jr. seemed to be doing a little bit better, but he still showed those 2 flashes on those 2 plays, those 2 incompletions that he did have, where he, reaches his hand out, not trying to take that contact going inside. Those things are still going to be popping up until they get onto the same page, and maybe that's going to be a good time for the bye week. So overall, Travis Hunter needs a little bit more time and maturation, but he is slowly working himself in. This past week, he had his most snaps at the right cornerback position. They put him on both sides of the ball now a little bit more as he continues progressing to being a full-time corner after the Tyson Campbell trade. And you have Travis Hunter also playing inside and outside receiver. Originally, early in the season, he was only playing in the slot. So now they're doing a little. As the season goes on, you're just going to see it go up, up, up until all of a sudden at the end of the year, you're going to see full-time guy both sides of the line, and honestly knows the full playbook. Like, I think that's the goal, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they can continue winning games while at the same time while doing it.
Yeah, and there's a lot to manage for Travis Hunter, isn't it, as well, coming in, and I think kind of the fanfare of how realistic was he be able to just jump from college to the NFL and play both sides full time? Probably not realistic, but in time, maybe so. But still, all of this going on and all of this change and still struggling with some things and still working things out and still finding ways to win football games. I think ultimately that's the key. Let's talk about this football game in a bit more detail. Obviously, the Jags are over our way this week over in London. And we've got a double-decker duel this week. Final hope for a London Classic. After 2 duds, Rams and Jags give us hope for a quality game as 2 top-tier teams clash at Wembley. Rams are 3-point favourites from this one. Sounds like they're going to be down Puka Nacua, and the over-under's 45. How do you think the Jags match up against the Rams, Travis? And I think it's an obvious thing to say, but it feels like Puka Nacua missing is massive, but just how big is it? How big of a bonus is that for the Jags?
It's the most massive injury in this game. And that's even naming Devin Lloyd as an injury, since Jaguars linebacker Devin Lloyd, with his 4 interceptions, did not play, and one of them being a pick 6, did not make the trip, due to his injury from last week against Seattle. So that's going to be a big Ventrell Miller game where maybe we can see how he's going to fare in this, in Devin Lloyd's steed. He was second on the team in tackles in week 6 against the Seahawks with, I believe he has 6 tackles. So maybe that could work out where he's not missed so significantly, but his presence will be missed in the passing game. Again, that 4 interceptions is kind of hard to replace that. Let's just be honest about that from a linebacker, no less. But you got Puka Nacua missing. I mean, being he's the engine of this Rams offense. They've kind of struggled on the ground these past few weeks, so that hasn't really been there. Devontae Adams, while his stats may look good, he's actually been very up and down with just getting on the same page with Matt Stafford. Again, we already had the conversation with the Believe in Rams guys, where they were kind of saying the same thing, like, hey, man, this is like, he's not a burner, so he's one of those guys who are just going to get you with body control, and they're still trying to get on that same page where he doesn't have as much separation against certain types of cornerbacks. That's going to be very difficult for this Rams offense. So this may be the game, not necessarily for Adams. This may be the game for the tight ends and Tyler Higbee, and those guys just diversifying, getting the ball to the running backs out of the backfield, things like that. But overall, it's just like, all right, so what you're telling me is, for this Rams team, this loss of Puka Nacua is the engine of the offense, and now you don't really know what to expect of these guys. And this may be one of those gritty, grimy, muddy, just lower scoring games. Like, you have the over-under here at 45. I'm yelling, I'm screaming, take the under on this. With my final prediction of this game, I believe I had the Jaguars winning 17-14 or something like that. Like, that's truly what I feel like it's going to be, with Puka no longer there for the Rams, and for the Jaguars to be facing another very tough defensive line 1 week after giving up like 33 pressures per Pro Football Focus, 25 pressures per NFL Pro, depending on what source you want to use. Let's go with a lot of pressures and 7 sacks. And now you're going to face the number 6 team in the NFL and the number of times that they stunt, and they're top 10 in the league in sacks. This might be a lower scoring game with a very good amount of defense. I would even feel not so crazy to predict a defensive score somewhere, and I don't know which defense it's going to be. That sort of ugly, mucky game that the team who gets the ball last may have a chance to win, but because it's absolutely going to be a closer affair. Like, that's kind of what I see here.
So let's look, Travis, don't be honest, that's not what I'm wanting to hear when I'm going to the game on Sunday. But it seems to be the public bettors seem to agree with you, because I think, just checking it just before we started, 94% of the money and 90% of the bets are on the under. And it's moved slightly to 44.5, but 44.5, 45. So the under is definitely in play. I cannot go to a game and bet the under. Like, that's just all my principles. So I'm going to be on the over, hoping we get a bit of a shootout. But I fully get it in terms of it. That makes sense in terms of, where kind of, Jags are from an all-line perspective. How would the Rams have been up front? And then also the Rams potentially, likely, I mean, he's not been ruled out yet, but it looks for all but the confirmation that Puka Nacua are going to be playing. So that certainly changes how the Rams have to kind of attack it as well.
It's not just Puka Nacua though.
No,
it's Puka Nacua and Tutu Atwell, who also has this hamstring, so he's unlikely to play. Like, I know he's limited on Wednesday, but you have to believe that they're going to hold him out. Also, we're going to see when they send that official designation in. But from my perspective, I feel like the Rams are going to be down not just Puka Nacua, but two of their top 3 receivers, and it's just going to be Devontae Adams only, plus their tight end crew. Like, that's kind of my perspective of that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's tough. And also making the trip with injuries doesn't help as well. And yeah, there's all that to play in as well. For the London game, I'm hoping for a good one. It's a high quality game, certainly, between these two rosters that we haven't kind of been blessed with so far in London this year.
And two teams who know each other very intimately. Obviously, Liam Cohen, James Gladstone, all these guys coming from the Rams. That's the original system, and Les Snead and Sean McVay. Sean McVay obviously mentoring them into the NFL, so he obviously knows much about their protections. The Jaguars knows much about the Rams' protections and the offensive scheme. These are other reasons that I'm of the opinion these guys are going to know each other very well, and both defenses are playing lights out. That just screams to me lower scoring game. Like, I don't see an offensive explosion. If there is an offensive explosion, someone came out with a whole new playbook, like they've been ready for this game all season, and maybe that could happen.
Hopefully, it's like we need that over. We need. I'm sick of hearing about the London unders. So, but yeah, it's going to be a great game regardless. Okay. And let's say over 80,000 people packing out Wembley Stadium, so it should be
80,000.
No, 80,000 people. It's
That's
going to be
a lot, and you guys don't. And your tickets aren't cheap either, man. You guys you like really pay real money. Like, I was shocked when we just let folks behind the curtain. We were talking before this podcast started. Like, when you may get those $25, $30 tickets to an NFL game in the States. That doesn't happen in London. When he told me the prices, I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Your cheap seats are like $130? That's crazy.
Not cheaper than NFL fan in the UK. I think he's getting to the point, Travis, where I think it's probably going to be more cost effective for us to come over to watch a game in the US team with kind of how expensive the tickets are in London is and all that. So we're almost there, which is good because I think that's what a lot of us want to do anyway.
That'd be funny if you can buy a flight and fly back and buy the cheap seats and still be able to spend less than going to a cheap London game. That's fun, man.
So that's where we're getting to. But yeah. Well, so Jags, I'm hoping for a great game. Two great teams. Let's park this game. We asked you to take part in our fourfold challenge, Travis. For week 7 in the NFL. Tricky to do. We haven't hit one of these yet through the first 6 weeks, but one's coming. Someone's going to hit one. And hopefully, Travis, this week it is you. Do you want to start us off with your favorite from the week?
I mean, my favorite, like the person who's a favorite that I believe is just absolutely going to win this game hands down, it's got to be Chicago over the Saints. Like, that's just come on. The Chicago's going to get that run game going. Like, I feel like that's going to be an easy pick to make if this were a survival league, and that's my pick. Yeah, that's the one I'm going with every time.
So yeah, the Bears are where we are. Bears are 5-point favorites against the Saints. It's in Chicago as well. 5 feels short, right, for the Bears in this one, I think. A big win on Monday Night Football at the death against the Commanders. But the Saints have been frisky, right? The Saints, I think they've only been blown out once so far. They've been pretty frisky.
Frisky, sure. I mean, but they're fine. Like, at the end of games and everything else. But Spencer Rattler he's putting in enough solid work to be in conversation for their quarterback, to be their quarterback for next year, but I don't think it's been good enough to like legitimately give this Bears defense problem, because the Bears defense has also been playing very well.
Yeah, been good, and I would say that those turnovers were key on Monday night against the Commanders to kind of keep the Bears in the game and allow them to go on and win it. Who's your favorite underdog then this week? Who do you like to cause a bit of an upset? And I feel like I already might have put this in the sheet already, Travis, but
no, my Jaguar fans are going to be so mad at me on this one because I'm picking my favorite underdog of the underdogs is the Colts for this week. I think the Colts, I know they haven't beat very many or even faced very many good teams on that in pursuit of that 5-1 record that they have currently, and they're playing against a 4-2 Chargers team that, while you look at the surface, is like, oh yeah, they're good, but also, are they like the Chargers when they've gone through their injuries now? They lost their rookie running back, their receiver Quentin Johnson was also injured for not the last week, it might have been the last 2 weeks if I'm not mistaken. And now you're in a situation where, all right, cool. Like, you beat Kansas City early in the season and everybody had, that opened everyone's eyes a little bit. Beat Las Vegas, won by 3 against Denver, and everybody was on cloud 9. But then you lose against the New York Giants, and it's like, wait a minute, who is this team? You lose against Washington by 17, and you barely beat the Miami Dolphins in the dogfight. Like, overall, that's a coin flip game for me. So if I'm picking an underdog on this slate of games, that's probably the one, because I just don't know who either of these teams are, but I do think the Colts probably have a better defense overall.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts are unbelievable start, and I think we need to see them in more tests, don't we? I think to kind of really assess just how good they are. But I certainly didn't think we were going to get to week 7 and we'd have a 5-1 Colts and a 4-2 Jags. I didn't see that coming. So
definitely not.
But yeah, no more shouts of the AFC South being the worst division in football. That's well and truly gone for sure. But yeah, you're right. Chargers for this year. Well, we'll see. But yeah, Chargers so banged up. I mean, the names that are flashing on this injury report: Derwin James is hurt, and he's been practicing. Joe Alt might be back. Khalil Mack might be back off injured reserve. But then just more and more going on it. So yeah, feels a rough time for the Chargers at the minute, and the Colts have been relatively clean so far. I've picked up some injuries, but relatively
lucky.
And
lucky. Yeah, I'll be the first to acknowledge that the Colts have been lucky also. With the schedule and with some of the outcomes at the end of games where teams are making dumb mistakes or missing field goals and stuff like that. Like, I get that too, but that's my underdog personally.
Yeah, it's a good one. Only 1.5 point underdogs as well. So yeah, Colts over the Chargers. Excellent. Let's hit your under next. Where do you think it might be a little bit of a struggle for points, or where do you think there's going to be an under this week in the NFL?
Oh, so yeah, let's go back to the well. This is a good one. Let's go to the Seattle Seahawks versus the Houston Texans. I mean, that over under, I believe it was, or at least when I last checked, it was 41.5. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take that under all day. This Houston Texans defense, they're so dang scrappy with every team that they've been playing this season. Whether or not they win or lose the game, they're normally losing, even scoring like less than 20 points. So from my perspective, that looks like a great situation for the Houston defense. And then we just saw what Seattle's defense can do last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think that's a reasonably solid situation for both teams where, yeah, if you told me the over-under was 40, I might even be thinking about taking it, the under on that one. So give me 41.5. I think that's a great bet to make if you were someone of the betting, type.
Well, if people listen to the show, they definitely are, Travis. So yeah, under 41.5. Under 41.5. So yeah, we were talking before we recorded about kind of the kickoff times and stuff. So that's the second. Yeah. That's the second game of Monday Night Football, and they're not they don't cross over this week. It's one starts, finishes, then the next one starts. That one kicks off at 3 a.m. UK time. It's with it being obviously on the Pacific Northwest. So yeah,
that's tough.
If you're a Seahawks or Texans fan, it's brutal, yeah.
Then you're not going to like my over pick then, if that's the case, because it's the other Monday Night Football game.
So that's Buccaneers Lions, yeah?
Yeah, my over pick is the Lions Buccaneers game. The 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time football game. I believe the line was 52.5 for that one. And again, both of these teams, I mean, you got two quarterbacks who are playing lights out, and two defenses that haven't been great. overall. Like even when they win, they're winning 35-33 and things of that nature. So I think that's it's even if it's 52, I'm still feeling just fine saying, yep, if both teams scored 40, I wouldn't be surprised. So we'll see.
Yeah, it should be a great game. I think truly remarkable what the Bucs are doing, and especially Baker Mayfield, when almost every week one of his key players is falling out of the game injured and missing. We've seen it was Egbuka last week. He's already missing Evans and Godwin, and Bucky Irving went down. Like almost all of his skill players,
like Evans,
are just dropping, and yet still finding ways to win games. And obviously, every NFL team has to deal with injuries. Feels like they're getting more than their fair share. But I think that just goes out to kind of Todd Bowles and the coaching staff as well, of just doing a great job managing the situation.
Yeah, they are. And Baker's playing out of his mind. Again, no matter who's there, they're just finding ways to duct tape it together and still put up 35 points. It's just crazy. But yeah, all power to him on that rebound, on that bounce back of his career. I think he's year 8 now, and looks like a whole new man.
I mean, I never would have thought that we'd be talking about Baker Mayfield as a right in the mix, possibly leading the way for being NFL MVP, because what he's done for his 6 weeks has been remarkable.
Yeah, wow. He's right in the mix. I think it's crazy the fact that we're forming these words with our mouths, but it's true. He is absolutely right in the thick of it as far as early season NFL MVP. And if he's not on your list, then your list is terrible.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent. We've got a lot of love for Baker here. So Buccaneers lines over 52.5. I like that. So we've got Bears as a 5-point favorites, Colts 1.5 point underdogs, Bucs lines over 52, Texans, Seahawks under 41.5. I think Travis, that has got just as good a chance as any of hitting. So best of luck and fingers crossed we get that first fourfold through the door. Travis, just give us a reminder before we let you go again of kind of where we can find your work and where we can follow the Duval Dive and Big Cat Country.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can follow the Duval Dive from the Believe Podcast Network. So whether you go to the Believe Podcast Network site, Spotify, Apple, wherever you catch your podcasts, you can catch the Duval Dive wherever you stream your pods. But also the Duval Dive on YouTube, in case you want to check back on this past game when we talked about Trevor Lawrence's, positives and negatives with film breakdown. Maybe you want to be the person to see it versus hear it. Go to the YouTube, click like and subscribe there. BigCatCountry.com, again, the website. I mean, obviously favorite the site, get your news from the guys on the ground where you can find out what's going on, recently with the team. And you can find me on all the socials, Travis D. Holmes, whether it's Blue Sky, X, Twitter, etc. We're always here to talk Jaguars, but I mean, I'll talk all football, even Canadian football for those of you who dabble. But yes, it's mostly about the Jaguars though. But I appreciate you having me.
Travis, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. It's a great guest again. And we'll look forward to having you back in the future as well. Best of luck the rest of the season for the Jags. Yes, have a great year covering the team and with Big Cat Country and the pod as well. And we're going to finish off the rest of our Week 7 previewing our Sky Sports and Primetime games and sharing our best bets. Thanks again there to Travis. Make sure you go give him a follow at Travis D. Holmes, available on X, and also go give the Duval Dive and a Big Cat Country account a follow as well. A friend of ours, also Cy Carroll, is right there for Big Cat Country. So plenty of great people to follow, bringing you the gospel on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Let's get into our bets then for Wembley. So just quick ones to talk through. I think you know what I'm on. I'm on the over. Give me the over, the London over. Despite Travis rightly discussing it might be a defensive game and it might be low scoring, I'm going to go over 44.5. We've had, I think the first game hit over, but it was a low number. And the Jets Broncos game was disgusting last week. Give me the over. I'm hoping for a Puka Nacua miracle. Charlie loves it. I'm hoping for a Puka Nacua miracle. But if not, I think the Rams still do have enough. I know Jacksonville playing pretty well on defense, taking the ball away, and the Rams have been pretty stout defensively in the main as well. Seahawks did a job on the Jags last week, but I'm expecting a bounce back. Jags have been pretty good in England as well when they've played in London. So give me the over 44.5. Byron, I assume you're next.
Yes, indeed. You know who's on fire and getting better by the week? Brian Thomas Jr. I was going to say Charlie, but he's currently having a conniption, so not Charlie. Brian Thomas should have had 130 plus yards last week, if not for an offside call on Travis Hunter. 2 touchdowns should have been there. This week, he's got 100 plus receiving yards, 3-1. He's on that fast track at Wembley. Points, quick turf. Trevor's hitting him. They're back in stride together. He's got a plus matchup against Rams poor secondary, truthfully. If that O-line can hold up long enough against Jared Verse and Byron Young, then I think lots of opportunities for Brian Thomas to hit over 100 receiving yards at 3-1 here.
Excellent. Joe?
Yeah, I've got Cameron Williams with 30 plus receiving yards and 4 receptions in there. He's got around that most games, and I think against this Jags team, who've got a few injuries, especially at linebacker, I think they can try and target that. So I can see Cameron Williams getting a few just quick dumps, and then you're hoping for some yards. And yeah, it feels like that's like Stafford's game as well. Just with everything, what's like the offensive line's been okay, decent, but not amazing. So this Jags front has again been up and down, but when they're up, you know, we've talked about Hines Allen. He certainly can get into the backfield, so he might do quite a few dumps up. So at 19-4, Kyrie Williams 30 plus reception yards and 4 receptions.
Just a quick weather check. Bad news as well. It's dry and relatively warm for this time of year in London all week, and then from 10:30, so 4 hours before kickoff, till 9 o'clock at night, it's due to lash it down all day. Great.
That's good for points, right?
Don't know. Slow track.
Ooh.
The Wembley pitch gets a bit boggy, doesn't it?
Did I know want to hear that?
Yeah. Should have done the weather check. Very important. Put the roof on, Wembley. Get the roof on, lads. Excellent. Let's go into the Sky Sports game. Early game. Very NFC East centric this week. The Sky games. Eagles 1.5 point favorites at the Minnesota Vikings. Over unders 43.5. We don't know for sure if he's going to be playing, but once more, for old time's sake, Carson Wentz revenge. QB faces former team for the second time since leaving Philly in 2021. Will Wentz get one over on the team that drafted him? So we don't know for sure if he's going to play. I feel like revenge game. Well, it's not a revenge game if JJ McCarthy fucking plays, is it? But yeah, it kind of feels like it still should be Carson Wentz.
I think it will be. I don't think they want to rush JJ McCarthy back. However bad that ankle injury is, he was limited in practice on Wednesday, so it seems to me like they're going to be going with Wentz. His line's had a week to recover, obviously. But yeah, I think it's going to be Carson Wentz starting this week. Yeah,
he sounds like he might be like a soft, benching as well. Because like discussions like if he is fit, but they think Wentz is a better fit, will they put him as backup, or do the whole thing where it's like, we'll wait till he's fit, he's going to be the starter. But the 2 games he did play, he had like 7 quarters of shocking football. So, and it's not like they're in an easy division, this Vikings team, where they can just coast. They need to keep picking up wins with all the other teams in there. So if Wentz gives you a better, prospect to win, why would you not put him in? I think with JJ McCarthy, still in his second year, for his first proper year, he's only 22. So if he has to sit behind, there's plenty of quarterbacks who have done that. So I don't think it's a huge slight on him. Maybe they just overestimated where he was in his progression with that year off, with not signing their their starter and backup, who are certainly doing well elsewhere in the league.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it? Danny Dimes, obviously 2-3 months with Kevin O'Connell, fully rehabbed, and then Sam Darnold still performing very well. Obviously, we talked about in great detail on the review last week about the Eagles and the struggles on offense. Do we think we're going to see any progression out of the Eagles this week, or do you think they're still kind of working things through and it might be another struggle for them this week?
Well, nothing's changed. It's kind of my ultimate takeaway. I was looking at the Eagles' offense this morning as kind of like, what are the easy fixes? They're bottom 8 in play action rate. They're bottom 8 in motion rate. And we harp on about this an awful lot, or I certainly do. They are the 2 easiest quick fixes. You don't need to change personnel. You barely need to change your scheme. Just throw 10% extra play action in there. Throw 5 extra motion snaps in there, and your offense gets so much easier. They look like they're running a high school offense. There's nothing to it. It's so vanilla. And there is issues on the O-line. And I think there's issues on some of the players. Like, I don't think Saquon is the player he was last year, but he's also getting hit in the backfield a lot earlier and more often. I think the O-line's probably the one that's taken the biggest drop-off. But just make things easier for them then. Throw some more play action in, throw some more motion in. Those are really easy fixes that like anybody can do. And until I see it, I'm just not going to believe it with the Eagles because it's so bad. Like they got blown out by New York last week. They didn't lose.
They just get beat, yeah.
Yeah, like it was not close.
Yeah, I would say that Vikings defense has not been especially the run defense has not been as good as we expected. Obviously, they spent some big money in the summer to bring some players in, some veteran players to try and improve this, or to build on the front because they were excellent last year. But rushing wise, the yard per game, the 132 yards is the opposition, the 18th in rushing defense. So, it feels like this Eagles team is all about the rush. If they can get that going, then that's something the passing game can go. I think the offensive line, like you mentioned, is what's been struggling, which has been surprising for this Eagles team. It feels like the last few years, it's like you can just count on that and then you just work around it and you can fix that stuff. So, they're playing a team who is conceding a lot of yards, and you've got Saquon, so can they try and fix that? Because I think if they start getting it on the ground, it's indoors, start rushing this Viking defense, that's when you can play action, and that's when the 2-star wide receivers and Dallas Goedert can certainly get into the game. I think it's when the rush game gets held and then everyone knows that Hurts is going to throw, is when they get in trouble. And he's just like missing some of the throws you expect him to. I know we mentioned the Devontae Smith one last week. That could have changed the game. And it's just you're not expecting that from this Eagles team. So I'd be curious. Obviously, on the defensive side, I think that was the most disappointing one last week with how bad the defense was against the Giants. I think the Giants' offense is certainly sparked to life with Jackson down, but it's not the scariest offense. When you look at the wide receivers, when Neighbors went out and they're relying on third, fourth stringer wide receivers, and they just dominated them, especially through the air. So I'm curious. I don't know if you've seen, is there any news on Mitchell, if he's playing or not?
I think he is back in training. He was a limited participant Wednesday. Expect similar or certainly more today. So I think he'll be back, and that's big because he tends to travel with the one, which will be Jefferson in this case.
Yep.
Always tends to do a really, really good job. So I suppose that's pretty key in terms of keeping the Vikings relatively quiet. I think just like that Saquon point, the bit is that I don't understand the last 2 weeks where they've just completely gone away from him. So I get even in the early games he's been struggling where he's been getting close to 20 carries. But I feel you just need to you can't just completely go away from him like they did against the Broncos and did against the Giants, really. You've just got to keep going and keep chipping away. And it's almost like that old Derrick Henry thing around, well, he's going to come alive in the second half when it becomes a bit easier for him to run. But you don't get that if you don't invest in it in the first half. And I feel maybe there just needs to be a bit more of that from the Philadelphia Eagles. Excellent. Should we have a look at bets?
Sure.
Oh, I feel like you had something, Byron.
I have a trivia question coming up, but I'll do it at the end of my bet.
Cool. I'm just going to go for the Eagles. I'm thinking a bit of a bounce back. I think this line's a little bit short as well. I know the Vikings are off a bye, but they've come off two pretty poor performances, I think, in Europe because they're in Ireland and London. I think they're pretty fortunate to get to sneak by the Browns, and the Steelers, in the most part, were just levels above them. So I think this is a real good opportunity for a get-right game for the Eagles. I just don't see them losing 3 in a row. And while the line's only 1.5, I'm just going to take the Eagles here.
Just talk about Barkley. I've got Barkley 80+ rush yards and anytime touchdown. Last week he started off hot. He got like 50-odd yards in his first 2 runs and didn't get much more. So my analysis earlier is just why I'm pushing on Barkley, where he can just hit that. He's one of them like runners where it can get frustrating. You think he's never going to get there, and then suddenly he pops off a 40, 50-yard run. So, and with an anytime touchdown, I think he could score. So that's 5-2 for that.
I feel you're getting good odds for that in a minute as well. Kind of with a struggle a bit, you're getting that a bit of an inflated price. I feel that was probably a lot closer to 3-2, or
Well, last year that was 2-5.
Yeah, maybe that. Yeah, I feel like certainly a lot closer to even money. So yeah, I think really, really good value for that. And he's gonna he's gonna break soon. I feel like he's gonna have a big game. So he's not gonna be kept this quiet for much longer.
When you said he's gonna break, I didn't know if that was a positive or a negative. Positive.
Far positive break. Byron.
Yeah, Dallas got it anytime touchdown, 5-2. 5 touchdowns on the year already. He's one of only 2 tight ends to have a over 50% team touchdown percentage. Darren Waller, the other one, who's only played 3 games. But yeah, it seems to be got its rolling. If it's not on the 1 yard line, at the goal, the 5 yard line, it's Dallas Goedert time. They've taken a real thing to get him going this year, and you can get him anytime touchdown at 5-2, which I think is a real nice price as the only offensive weapon that's actually working for them. Speaking of offensive weapons that are working for them, hasn't been a happy hunting ground in years gone by. Minnesota, the Eagles. They are 5-3 lifetime at Minnesota. They've lost the last 2. The last one they won was October 28, 2007. And I have one question for you.
I feel like I'm bad at these
2007 is classic.
It's a classic.
Yeah, it's a classic era as well. Like, this is when you boys were in your early 30s, 2007, going out to the club.
You can't do that every week. I feel like in 2007, I was still listening to like Stone Roses and Pulp and stuff. So pass me by.
Cooler than that, yeah.
I may have been good at the club, but I was probably 16, 17. So that's
yeah. So yeah, what pop bangers were you going? And you were,
pop band
bangers, not band.
Oh, bangers.
I'll give you a clue since you're struggling here. This was the biggest selling UK single of 2007. It was number 1 in 35 countries.
35 countries?
Yeah.
2007. I'm going to go Rihanna.
Oh, sure.
Umbrella.
Incorrect on both counts.
You give me a look there like I was in the right area.
Yeah, that was intentional.
The British or American?
British.
Well, this is fucking 20 questions. It's not how this segment works.
Tinchy Strider. I don't know what the song was called.
Incorrect on both counts again. It was Leona Lewis, Bleeding Love.
Oh, okay.
Pure banger. Yeah, so hopefully the Eagles can keep bleeding points, would be my hope.
That was a rough one to get the gagging for, I think. Good work there.
I've done my best.
Cool. Sky Sports late game. Excellent. It's the Dallas Cowboys hosting the Washington Commanders. Commanders are they 3-point? They're not 3-point underdogs in this game.
No, they're 1.5.
They're 1.5 point favorites.
Yes.
Well, all right. I appreciate that. It's clearly my fault. They're 1.5 point favorites. Over under is 54.5. Commanders plot path of least resistance. Cowboys' porous defense offers yet another get-right game. This time for quarterback Jaden Daniels looking to bounce back from Monday Night Football turnovers. And I guess, Joe, is this another
revenge game?
Just because he's got Dan Quinn as the pitcher, I guess.
Oh, okay. I think he got his revenge last year.
Yeah, I feel like, I just don't know if that's where we're going with it. Commanders 3-3. Obviously dropped that game as time ran out as time expired against the Bears on Monday. Cowboys in a bit of a shocker, really, dropping that game to the Panthers. What do we make of this matchup, gents?
I think there might be points is what I'm going to go with. Neither team looking good defensively, which is a bit of an understatement for Dallas, but Washington kind of let the Bears push him around. DeAndre Swift had his best game in goodness knows how long on Monday Night Football. And I think the Bears came back relatively easily to push it downfield and let Jake Moody be rooted off the field over on everyone's shoulders, which was quite a sight for a Monday Night Football game, not a playoff victory. But yeah, I'm really torn on how to pick this game. We're expecting to see him back, which is fantastic for Dallas and I think neutrals who want to see an exciting game. And then the big kind of waiting point is Deebo Samuel going to play for Washington? Is Terry McLaurin going to play for Washington? If those are both out, you've really got to like the Cowboys at plus 1.5 here. If those both play, I kind of like Washington at minus 1.5. I've gone Commanders on our ATS, but with very little confidence because I don't quite know how it's going to play out.
tough with kind of the injuries. So I'm repping the 88, although it's a Des Bryant jersey, not a CD Lamb one. Yeah, I'm expecting, from what Schottenheimer kind of said during the week, I'm expecting him to play, no matter how much kind of practice he's had. So, yeah. But kind of, again, the burden isn't on him. Pickens has been electric. He's been phenomenal. I wrote an article this week for Huddle UK. Sign him now. I don't think he wants. I think he wants to wait, understandably so. But, should have signed him in the first place. They've been, unbelievable. I think it might be a bit of a slowdown, and we'll talk into our bets maybe from both sides of things. I've got some turnover trouble with the Commanders, and surely the Cowboys' offense is going to slow down a little bit. They've been playing obviously unbelievably. And I kind of think the defense, even though obviously it is abysmal, might just kind of step up a little bit, play a bit more man coverage, please, and just step up a little bit. I'm very worried Jerry Jones is going to do something very stupid. Feels like there's been a lot of noise about Trey Hendrickson to Dallas, and he's also not playing tonight for the Bengals. I'm very worried that's going to happen, and they're going to end up coughing up one of those firsts because they're really stupid. But we'll see about that. They're doing some pass rush help, of course, as well. I think it's just a bad matchup for Dallas in terms of they're horrendous at playing mobile quarterbacks, and they have been the last two or three seasons, really, particularly last year as well. So I think Jaden Daniels could potentially have a big day. Although he seems to have been teams have tending to be doing a bit of a better job of keeping him contained and not letting him kind of break out to start this season. So, can the Cowboys do that? One of those problems has been kind of that rush lane discipline, and they've allowed all the quarterbacks they've played against to kind of make big plays with their legs. So worried a little bit about that. Joe, how are you seeing this one?
Yeah, I'm agreeing about it. I think it's points with this one. I think Commanders' defense, like at the start of the year, they were better than I expected, but I feel like they dropped off the last game. They're just you're just worried just how old they are. They've got lots of veterans, and with CD coming back and how Pickett, how the wide receivers have been playing, and Tolbert could be back as well. I'm curious if they can get that run game going, Cowboys, because we talked about how he just went off a cliff last week, and that was one of their strengths. And on the other side, they just can't stop anyone. And I think it's Dallas, the unfortunate one, they get in Jaden Daniels when he looked like Jaden Daniels last week. I think if you could have him 2 weeks ago, he was coming back from the injury, wasn't looking 100% healthy. But I think against the Bears, he had a good game. Obviously, I know he had the turnovers and the fumbles, but it was a very rainy day. And when they went in the lead, you just expected the Commanders to win that before they gave that huge touchdown to Swift. And they should be really sat there 4-2 this joint leader in the division. It's just a really interesting game. Like whoever depends what happens with the Eagles game, but and then whoever wins here is going to be more or less joint or just behind the leaders. So it feels like we're going to the NFC East of 5 or 6 years ago, where is a winning record actually going to win this division, because it's a bit middling. Right. So, but no,
but you're not wrong.
It makes it really interesting. If the Cowboys win, then you've got 4-3, 3-4, 3-1, and whatever the Giants do, whoever won 2, they could be.
I think that's why looking at last week, speaking as a neutral, even though I'm a Cowboys fan, it was so frustrating that Dallas and Washington both lost, because after Philly lost, if those two had won and obviously the Giants beat the Eagles, that would have made the division really, really interesting. Whereas now it still feels like Philly are going to get themselves right in enough time, and it's just going to be they end up winning the division. Whereas if you'd give an extra win to Dallas and Washington, I think it would be a lot more interesting.
Look, don't forget, we're still 20. It's been 20 odd years since somebody's won the NFC East two years in a row. So, look, there's that factor. Cowboys should be getting some more help back on the offensive line, which I think will help that running game, Joe, that you mentioned. So, Booker's back in practice. Hopefully, he will play. I kind of feel if they're back in practice Wednesday, I think they're all going to play. Booker, Tyler Smith's been banged up, but he was again back practicing, so that's good. So I feel you've got that interior of the O-line almost intact. Still waiting on Cooper Bebe, of course, but the interior almost back, and then that's going to.
How did the cornerbacks look last weekend? Because it was the first time they played together in quite some time, Diggs and.
It looked like the first time. It just looked like the first time they've ever played together. Is what it looked like. It was just back to the Giants game where people were just running free again. It's abysmal. I also think as well, just quick, I was watching some tape this week on the how bad they were defending the run. Just cut Kenneth Murray. Just cut him. He's awful. It's just some of the plays where he's just covering the wrong gap and he just moves in the wrong direction. And that's why some of those Rico Dowdle runs were just ridiculous, where he's getting 15 yards without being touched. It's like, well, Kenneth Murray should be there. And he just tackled him at the line of scrimmage. And instead, he's 3 spots over, caught up in a load of traffic that he shouldn't be in. Like, just get rid of him. Damarian Overshaw's back in about 4 weeks. Very much looking forward to that. And then, fucking Murray and Sanborn, just fucking get rid of them. There's a reason why you got them in the off-season. They're fucking awful.
Well, Sanborn especially came in as someone who knows the matter of the defense. He's like, is that a positive?
Might know it too well. Might know it too well. Let's go to our bets. I'm going to go the under. So, points. I'm shifting away from it. I just feel like it's a massive number. This is the biggest number so far, isn't it, this season for a game? Quick stat for you. Since 2020, lines closing at 54.5 or above. The under has gone 26 and 16, 62% of the time. I'm going to take the under. I think Dallas come up a little bit defensively and maybe drop a little bit offensively. And to get 54.5, 55 is a lot of points. It is a lot of points. So, yeah, I'm going to go under on this one. Jens, what have you got?
I have gone Ja'Cory Kroski merit. Bill, 100 plus rushing yards. Do you know Bill has the 6th most yards after contact per attempt in the league?
Yeah, fucking lot more.
Do you know Bill has the 3rd most yards before contact per attempt in the league? And he's gone up against Dallas. Bam, 100 rushing yards.
That seems reasonable. Yeah, Cowboys giving 142 rushing yards a game. There's only the Bills, the Bears, and the Dolphins that are worse.
And I mean that number's only so low because running back stop at the end zone. I could keep on going.
Joe.
Yeah, I'm thinking points. I've got Prescott and Daniels over 250 passing yards at 5-2. I think Prescott will go there fairly easy. It's just if Jaden Daniels and, like you mentioned, there'd be some wide open wide receivers. So we'll see with who's actually fit for the Commanders. Obviously, that would help you out, especially someone like Debo. But I think they've still got enough. I think they've still got, they've got, McCaffrey's just suddenly keep getting touchdown for the Commanders and they find other players. So I think they both could get 250. I think it could be a high scoring game.
Funnily enough, so I picked this as my bet, went to write it in, and seen you had it exactly word for word, the exact same bet. I respect it. Obviously, I think it's a great bet.
You can bet it. My one worry would be I think the Commanders could be so good at running the ball that Daniels doesn't get to 250 passing yards.
It's a hell of a team.
Because they're just not going to need to throw the ball. I'm hoping they're going to take a lot of time out of the game and hence the under. But yeah, we'll see.
The last time Dallas failed to cover as an underdog at home against Washington?
I don't, Byron. I'm sure you're going to tell us.
I am going to tell you, but I'm not going to give you any quiz because you're not going to know the songs. It was so long ago, Milli Vanilli was the US #1. Lethal Weapon 2 was the #1 film in the UK. It was September 24, 1989. 9-1 against the Spreaders, underdogs at home against Washington, Dallas are. So, fun little fact for you there, but no trivia. Just facts.
Yeah. Just straight up facts. Great.
Straight up facts.
Straight up facts. Excellent. Cool. Straight up facts as you're frozen on the screen. Perfect. Cool. Let's move into primetime Sunday Night Football. It's Joe's San Francisco 49ers hosting the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 2-point underdogs in this one. Over-under is 47.5. Purdy or not, Bijan will come. You can't hide. Thank you.
That is your best work of the season.
Outstanding. Falcons flying high after big Monday Night Football win over the Bills. Will they string together back-to-back primetime wins, or can reinforcements help the 49ers bounce back? I say reinforcements, they obviously lost their leader of the defense last week. It's completely gone.
What happened?
Fred Warner.
Fred Warner. That's going to be good. Is there some recovering from his broken ankle? And hopefully we will see him sooner rather than later. But yeah, how are you feeling, Joe? Think some are back or look like they're going to be coming back for this week. I don't know if Pierce, who did I see that was potentially playing? So Purdy's been training. Jennings is back in practice. Kittle was
expected
to play.
That's breaking news.
Is that
Pierce
confidence?
Not really. Because I think the offense with Kyle Shanahan can usually put a game together against most teams, no matter who they have out. They've had all these players out, and Kendrick Bourne. I think I send the same meme every single week when he's getting over 100 receiving yards. Where he's looking at Mac Jones. Yeah. So it's So obviously it's good to have Kittle back. Hopefully that helped the red zone situation, which I think that's what they struggled with last year. They struggled with it again this year, just putting the ball in to get the 7 points instead of just settling for the 3 points, which I think cost them a couple of games this year. But that defense, especially how the Falcons played against the Bills, obviously we didn't touch on that game because it was Monday Night Football. I thought they were outstanding. Obviously, Bijan Robinson was, he's probably the best running back this year, I would say. I don't think that's even that much of a conversation. And it would have been interesting to see how Warner and that team could have put it together to try and stop this offense, to try and stop him, stop Drake London, who got 150 yards as well against that Bills team. So I just worry it's more but one is the best linebacker in the league. It's the communication and the leadership. I think they're going to miss the most, because when he went out, there was a few where the touchdowns they did concede. You could tell that a few of the youngsters got confused and the coverage broke down because they didn't realize what the offense was doing. And Warner would have been the guy to be like, oh no, they're doing this, so you guys line up this way. So I think that's the biggest thing they're going to miss. I was surprised that the Falcons was the underdogs at +2, especially how they played against the Bills. I think the Bills were lucky to keep it just in with 7 points. Obviously, Penix nearly threw it away for a pick six just to make it exciting near the end. But I just thought they had a great game, and that defense has stepped up, which we weren't really expecting. Especially that the 2 first-round picks have been okay. They've not made a huge difference. It's been the players have brought in and just other players improving that. That defense is actually, for the first time in how many years, the Falcons have got a good defense can change games, because they just destroyed the Bills. And that's what I just worry about. If Purdy is playing, the offensive line's not been great, and I don't want him to re-injure just with getting sacked and having to move around. But yeah, we'll see. If he's 100% fit, I think it's better for the 49ers. I think there was definitely one play last week where Jones span out, and if he was Purdy, he would have just ran to the end zone. I think he's got the wheels where Mac Jones doesn't, and I think that's his big advantage over Mac. So we'll see. It's obviously at home. Salah's been doing an awesome job scheming everything up. Falcons are having to travel after a short week, but I just worry that they've just lost all the leadership on defense, and you only can do so much. So I think it could be a decent scoring game, and yeah, it's just disappointing.
Yeah, I don't really know how to read this game either way. I feel like it's Falcons +2 is a trap line. I had the 49ers on the ATS, and I just flipped it. I just don't really know how to read this game. I feel like the Falcons might just be this up and down, where they have really good offensive performances, and then they'll chuck in like they did against the Panthers. And I just feel it's going to be so hard to read where it's going to be. And I think it might end up coming in the least expected places. Falcons in prime time 2 weeks in a row. Everything tells me, I think everything in my saying the Niners should win this game, but I didn't go for it on the ATS. I just don't know how to read the total. I don't know how to read the spread. So yeah, if we flip over to the bets, I'm not taking a side. I'm not taking a total, which is rare for me in these primetime games. I'm just going to go CMC and a Bijan anytime touchdown plus money. I feel pretty comfortable with that. So yeah, 27-20.
I'm going with the man himself, Georgie Kittle. News came out while we're recording that he is expected to play. He expects to play himself. George Kittle, first touchdown, 14-1. Get him going, get him rolling early. He's going to be absolutely up for it. We know that. Very few players more fun to watch in the league, and I think it's going to be feed Kittle early and often. So yeah, give him first touchdown score at 14-1. You can probably get a better price if you shop around, but wasn't a huge amount of markets open today with it being a late game Sunday. But yeah, shop that around. You might get 16s, 18s maybe, but yeah, 14-1 I certainly think is worth backing.
Excellent. And Joe?
Yeah, I've got Bijan 60 plus receiving yards at 3-1. I think we can do everything. I heard it on NFL Daily, and I think what Greg Rosenthal said that Bijan's become what CMC is now, where if you can put him out as a wide receiver, and it's actually an advantage. There's a lot of times when running backs go out there, I think it's advantageous to the defense, because obviously the wide running back, not a wide receiver, but I think Bijan's becoming just a hell of a target, and he can just pop up the big. I was tempted to put some receptions in there, but it could also could catch one and take to the house at 60 yards. So I just went with the 60 plus yards at 3-1. So I'm hoping for that athleticism run all over this the 49ers defense, which could also happen as well. So it doesn't get as much receiving yards, but at 3-1, I think that's a good shot.
Was that before or after our shout out on NFL Daily that you heard that bit of analysis?
Back weeks, really, in a way.
Yeah. Because after
pretty big. Yeah, pretty big people in the industry. That sounds so wanky, doesn't it? I hate
making waves. Yeah,
hate when people say in the industry. It just sounds so fucking wanky. Shout out Greg Rosenthal. He didn't respond to the tweet, so fuck him. Next up, we've got double Monday Night Football. I think this is the last. Is this the last one?
It is. Might be the last one ever.
Yeah, it's no crossover as well, so it's straight because we've got the games where we
proper
have
double header.
Yeah, proper double header. Yeah, usually we get this early in the season, but in week 1 or something. But yeah, we've got it in week 7. So Bucks Lions. Buccaneers are 5.5-point dogs heading to Detroit. Over under is 52.5. Motown Showdown. Who'll be dancing in the street? Will the Bucks get to a baker's half dozen as MVP front runner heads to the Motor City? Lions hope to put it in drive after stalling last week. Well, that was pretty good as well. What do we make of this one? Obviously, the Lions coming off the brawl at Arrowhead, taking on the Bucks, who are still just fighting through injury after injury after injury after injury.
Well, they might be getting one back this week, though. Emeka Egbuka will be missing it, but the big dog himself, Mike Evans, may well be back. He is back practicing, and goodness, do they need him? Because if not, I think the wide receiver 1 is going to be Tez Johnson or Sterling Shepard.
Yeah, not great.
And credit to them, they've shone Baker Mayfield, if Matthew Stafford, the kingmaker of wide receivers, Baker Mayfield might be the prince maker of wide receivers. Put anyone out there, and as I've been calling him this season, make a playfield. Because
sorry, I just spat on the laptop.
Yeah, every time he gets the ball, he makes a play, Baker. So that's my new name for him, is make a playfield.
Clip it.
Yep, I love it. He should be an MVP candidate. I'm sure he is. Lots of people are talking about it anyway. But yeah, if you can get, Tez Johnson, Cameron Johnson, Sterling Shepard, Cade Otton to be a competent offense, and I know the Niners were banged up. I know they lost Fred Warner in that game. He still won it with those receiving weapons, and the Bucs are suffering, I think, more than any team in the league. Like I say, now I'm Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, Jalen Millen is out for basically the entire season. We think, if you'll ever play again, really, with the sound of that neck injury, neck is nothing to play with. And yet, Baker Mayfield doesn't matter. He just goes out there and makes a play, makes a win. I love this matchup. I can't wait to watch it. I've took the Bucs ATS just because it's plus 5.5, and the Lions are struggling at the cornerbacks. And, if there's one thing Baker Mayfield will do, it is make a play field. So I think he'll go out there, whoever it'll be at wide receiver. Ideally, it's Mike Evans to keep it a really good game. But I just think it's going to be a really good game. I really cannot wait to watch it.
Yeah, cool. Joe, what are you making of this matchup?
Yeah, that 5.5 was again bigger than what I expected. The number 1 in our power rankings, the Bucs, versus number 2, the Lions. So I was surprised. I'm guessing with like you mentioned, the injuries. I think I'm leaning the Lions just because even though I know they lost to the Chiefs, and especially I think with having the DBs out, I think it would have been a close game. But when they're ticking on offense, I feel like no one can stop them, no matter how good the defense is. I think they still have the best offense when they don't do that slight mistakes. We talked about the Jared Goff penalty when he goes touchdown. So things like that, like if that went their way, they could have been coming off a win against the Chiefs. So I wasn't too scared with that. Obviously, you would like more fit players on the back end and also up front. I think McNeil's, is he playing this game or it might be next week?
No, he's expecting as well. Play.
Because right now it's just Hutchinson and no one else. I know they had Zaire Smith last year, but he's retired after going to the Philadelphia, so it makes sense why they didn't re-sign him. So I think they need a big stop. But I think the Bucs going to keep it close. That's why the 5.5 scared me. But I feel like Lions at home, it feels like they've got something to prove. Are they just going to go out and just like put points on this Bucs? And it's can Mayfield carry on, his MVP kind of year? I'm not quite sure. I feel like there might be 1 week where they get got, and it could be this week. But again, if they lose by 7, even 10, I wouldn't hold it against them and just say, everyone can have a bad week and they're still 5-2 and still one of the heavy favourites. So I think it could be a big game, obviously in seedings wise, just with what's happening in the NFC East. These two are probably the favourites to get. The Lions are in a tougher division, but these could be battling out for the number 1 seed. So this could be a huge game when we're looking at in January, if it's in Tampa or in Detroit.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. If we flip onto the bets, I think this is the week that the Bucs get got. And again, it's not a slight on the Bucs. I just think it's going to catch up with them. And I think this is just the matchup to do it. I think it might just be a rough evening for them. Not necessarily saying that they get fully hammered, but I think Baker's really has been pulling miracles out. I just don't know how long you can keep doing that without help because he's not really getting any. So yeah, my gut sort of says they're running into the Lions on a bit of a bounce back, a bit of a prove it. Lions are real good off the back of a loss as well. I had the stat somewhere. Yeah. Lions are amazing off the back of a loss, both straight up and ATS. So yeah, I just like the Lions here just to kind of really grab this game by the scruff of the neck. Not slight on the Bucs at all. They've been incredible so far. They're going to be a really good team as they get people back. But I just think they might be running into a buzzsaw in the Lions this week. Next up.
I did just want to point out as well, the Bucs have only played in Ford Field once since Dan Campbell took over, and they won last year as 7.5-point underdogs. Great game. Baker Mayfield running in for a touchdown, as he tends to do in these big moments at the moment. I have
a playoff game there as well.
Oh, sorry, I meant regular season, but
sorry,
Mr. Picky.
Mr. Picks, that's me.
I have gone to Tez Johnson anytime touchdown, 5-2. He got one last week, a beautiful catch, and he's actually in the MVP consideration. If you would listen to his own fans, I don't know if you've seen this.
That's incredible.
Like the time for me to be MVP, like Tez, come on, bro. It's one catch. It's a great touchdown, though. Beautiful fingertip catch, real actual fingertips on it. But yeah, I've taken him anytime touchdown. I think he's been really interesting to watch. He's obviously got blistering pace, and I think 52.5 point is the over under here. I think it's fair bet we see around 50 points in the game with how the defenses are set up for both these teams. A lot of passing is going to be going on. So yeah, I think if Mike Evans plays, it's a wide receiver 2. If Mike Evans doesn't play, it's either the wide receiver 1 or 2. So I think 5-2 on Baker's number 1 or 2 wide receiver is a nice bet for scoring a touchdown, whoever it may be.
Whoever it may be. Still Jeppard, the other Johnson, Tez Johnson. Joe.
Yeah, similar to the other game, I've got both QBs getting passing yards, but this time over 275 passing yards. I think both teams are going to try and target the back end of this of defenses because that's where the weakness is. We talked about the Lions' injuries, and even though they've got Gibbs and Montgomery, they're facing against Vita Vea, who just swallows up everything and puts pressure on there. So I think Goff's going to be throwing it around and maybe a lot of dump offs and yards after the catch. So I can see them both getting it over 275 passing yards because I think it's going to be a really fun game with points.
Yeah, just a quick one on the betting side, the public money on it. 73% of the money and 77% of the bets is on Baker and the Bucks, like plus 5.5. So public like the Bucks in this one to cover. I can't. Yeah, I'm kind of okay being.
You can't listen to the public. People listen to the public. Listen to Coldplay and vote for the Nazis.
Excellent. And the public, I think, were pretty terrible last week. In general. Right, let's go. Monday Night Football Part 2. Let's head to the Pacific Northwest. Got there eventually. The Pacific Northwest. Texans at Seahawks. Texans are 3-point underdogs. Over-under is 41.5. Texans go west to face red-hot Seahawks. Houston off a bye and travel to Washington to try and continue their offensive revival. Is this a must-win? Question.
Yes. Answer.
Can't really afford to fall much further behind the Colts. Jags.
Yeah, they need to come off the bye with hit the ground running. I think ultimately they can't afford to fall any further back, like you say. Easy win against the moribund Ravens last game they played. Do I think they win, though? No. I think Seahawks take care of business here relatively comfortably.
Joe, how are you feeling? Monday Night Football Part 2 is going to be going. A 3 a.m. kickoff for us here in the UK.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I've lent the Seahawks. I just think they're a better team. I do worry about this one, though, just because I think it's going to be a very tight game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Just because when you think, like, how good this Texans defense is, I think they're one of the best in the league. It's all about stopping JSN. Obviously, you've got Stingley, who arguably could be the best cornerback in the league versus JSN, the best wide receiver in the league, which is going to be a fun matchup. And it's not like they've got slouches elsewhere on that team for Darnold to target. But on vice versa, Darnold's being very efficient and not giving the ball away, and he's just doing what he needs to do in that offense just to put the Seahawks in a good position. And I think the Texans offense, obviously they played a lot better against the Ravens, but everyone plays good against the Ravens defense. And the Seahawks front, are not mugs at all. I'm curious how, because I don't know if the three defensive backs are still. I wonder if they're going to play. I know there's been some, I think they're questionable. So they may be able to target that. They've certainly got the wide receivers to hopefully. Put some pressure on Sam Darnold, but I think it's going to be one loss for that Texans line. Are they going to, play well like they did against the Ravens, or is it going to be, the same old Texans where CJ Stroud's having like a second to throw it and getting crushed? So I'm leaning the Seahawks because I think they're a spare team, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think it could be like a 4 or 5 point coming down to the final play, just because I think it's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Texans last 10 versus NFC teams under 7-2-1. I've lent the Texans. I've bet the Texans +3. I would have loved the hook here, so I've got a funny feeling I'm going to get a push. Seahawks are terrible at home under Mike McDonald. I was going to call him Mike McDonald's then. Mike McDonald. 4-8 in the 12 home games under Mike McDonald, straight up, going 3-9 ATS. So I like the Texans with the points. I'm not sure the kind of, the offensive output they've had against the Titans and the Ravens is going to continue. I still think they've got a lot of problems, but I like it close. Could get maybe a bit of a funky score that keeps the +3 in play, but I kind of feel I'm probably going to get a push here on a Seahawks walk-off field goal, but we'll see. Next up, we've got Byron.
Yeah, I've gone Seahawks DST to get a TD at 5-1. I don't think the Texans have in any way fix or address that offensive line, and I think Seattle are going to get a ton of pressure on CJ Stroud this week. They got 7 against Jacksonville last week. They got 6 against Arizona a couple of weeks ago. I think it's going to be a lot of pressure. I'm expecting a couple of those DBs to be back with it being a late Monday game, more chance of them being there. And yeah, I think this might just be I think Seattle are going to get out ahead. I think relying on Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, and dare I say it, the best wide receiver in football this season, Jackson Smith and Jigba, to just absolutely cook this Texans defense, which is good on paper, but hasn't shone this season. They've been good, but not to the level I expect them to be. And some of that is probably because they're on the field a lot, because the offense, especially that offensive line, is terrible. But yeah, I think there's going to be a catch-up for the Texans here, which is going to open up opportunities for that defense to play ball snatching at 5-1 to get a touchdown.
Ball snatching. Excellent. Joe?
Yep, just talk about under 41. I've stolen one of your bets, or your types of bets. So I just think it's going to be low scoring. I don't think there's going to be points. I think it's going to be defense. And
I mean, they're not mine. I don't own those bets. They are just like the most popular bets made on American football. But it's fine. Over 77% of the money and 71% of the bets on the over, if that makes you feel any better about that, Joe.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Public don't know anything. And neither do we. But yes, that's all the Sky Sports games, London games, primetime games covered. Time for the fourfold challenge. We need a musical interlude for that, don't we? We just heard, obviously, if you listen to this far, you just heard Travis's on with me. A couple of lines slightly out, but nothing too many. Byron leads the way in our fourfold challenges. We pick 1 over, 1 under, 1 favourite, 1 underdog from the NFL slate to try and hit a 12-1 roughly bet. We've not hit one yet. Byron leads the way 15-9 on his picks. Joe, no, I'm next. 10-13. 10-13-1. No,
I'm next.
Joe's next. 11-13.
Bigger than 10.
11 smaller than 10, yeah. And then me and the guests 10-13-1. Joe, you've got first pick this week. Where are we going?
I think this is an easy one. I'm following what Travis has said. I'm going my underdog. I'm going the Colts plus 1.5 against the Chargers. Again, another one of them. I was shocked why they are not the favourites. They've been the team who have, I know they play the Cardinals close, but the Cardinals have played most teams close. And this Chargers team got a lucky win against the Dolphins. They only just scraped past there. So I think that the Colts just carry on beating teams who are not great, who are average. And I think this could be comfortable because I think that Chargers offensive line is a shambles. And I think the defense is good, but they've not been as good the last few weeks. And I think this Colts team can pick them apart. I've got Danny Dimes to continue his hot streak and win by more than 1.5.
This is another one where I feel like the Colts are due a bit of a speed bump as well. Like, again, I saw that and felt, it feels like a bit of a trap. There's a lot of 1.5 point lines this weekend. I think there's 4 of them.
This feels like a massive trap to me. I've still taken the Colts. I still think it's a really good bet.
No,
it just
the
feels
fact
like
we all have, Joe, that should have probably warded you off this because we're all on the Colts. Because we're fucking idiots. Byron.
I'm going to go over 40 in New York Giants at Denver Broncos. The scatterboard dart experience is going to rock some worlds, but Denver are going to win, and I think the cover, actually. But I think this is a good get-right for Denver's offense after last week. I think Sean Payton will have been frustrated in victory. So, I think it's a good opportunity for Denver to get back rolling even after a win. And Giants' defensive front is good. The rest of the Giants' defense, not so much. So I think a good opportunity for a low number points. Maybe a whisper it quietly, points.
Whisper it quietly. I think I'm just going to take one of the favourites we've already talked about, or is that boring? Let's hang off that because I've got the 2 in a row. I'm going to take... Oh, this is disgusting.
It's a first pick.
I know. You ready for this? I'm also going to take an underdog. I'm going to take the New York Jets. Plus 1.5 at home against Carolina Panthers. They're going to fall into a win somehow, right?
I have them as my ATS pick, so I can't slag it off.
They've got to fall into a win.
You know what it is. I was going to pick the Jets too, but then when I saw you guys have Jets, I was like, we can't all go the Jets. So that actually influenced my pick, which just seeing that you guys pick the Jets, which I don't normally. Well, I've had a disaster this year, so it doesn't really matter with the ATS. But I was just like, we can't all pick the Jets. That just feels wrong. We might get. So that means this has got a chance.
Then this has got a chance. So I think Panthers on the road are pretty terrible. Like, they've got the 3 wins, they're all at home. On the road, they're pretty poor. Obviously, they had Jacksonville kind of would have whooped them even more if they didn't have that lightning delay in week 1. They came back late against the Cardinals, who obviously are a bit messy, and then the Patriots absolutely murdered them. I feel like Panthers are going to be good and frisky at home and just bad away. I think that's just kind of where they are as a team. The Jets weirdly, the Jets should have won that game last week. They're going to stumble into a win. I'm taking it this week. Just feel like 0-7. 1-6 feels like more than the right for that team than 0-7, even though they're terrible. And I don't really feel like the Panthers having a winning record after 7 weeks is where they are either. So,
and I worry for Aaron Glenn's health if they lose again.
Yeah.
He looks also, like he's one bad play / defeat away from a nervous breakdown.
Yeah. He also, like the criticism I gave for Mike McDaniel last week, he needs to wear proper pants as well. He's got the proper pants thing. Yeah. Wear proper pants. Cool. That was enough to have me think. I think I'm really struggling for an over this week. Is kind of where I'm at. Give me the over. Give me the over. I need an over somewhere. Where's it going to be?
Drag it out.
I know. I'm so sorry. Give me the over in Dolphins Browns. It's also disgusting. 39.5.
It's actually dropped 3 points since then as well.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, the weather's horrendous.
I've said it now.
36.5 live.
Oh,
I was going to take the over at 36.5. I'm not taking it at 39.5.
What happens if we change the lines if they change by more than a point?
Because they're just changing last hour.
Fuck it. Points.
6-3 game.
Points. I feel like I was all I've used that game the wrong way, I think. Byron.
Yeah, I had my pick lined up. Yeah, I'm gonna go my underdog. We have talked about it, I'm afraid. Atlanta Falcons +2 heading into San Francisco. Niners are so banged up on defense, and the Falcons are looking pretty good on defense and offense. So,
do you worry that we've all got the Falcons?
Of course I do, yeah. But I've got to go with what your heart says is going to happen, right? That's a saying. Is that a saying?
No.
But yeah, I just wanted to give this one total yardage. The Falcons rank second on offense and first in defense this season. Is that not staggering to anyone?
Yeah.
The team lost 30-0 to the Panthers.
Yeah.
Which crazy. I realized, Paul, sorry to bring this up. That was one of my favorite bet you plays of the season was the Falcons score a touchdown in every game at like 2-1. I thought it was a really good bet. And I was just thinking about it earlier today because I was like, the Falcons offense has been so good. I was like, how did they lose 30-0? I was like, oh man, poor Paul. He had that great bet and got banged in week 3 because in fact, I think he got banged in week 2 looking at, oh no, they scored 22. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong column. Yeah, how did they lose 30-0 to the Panthers? I don't know. And then they beat the Bills 2 games later. So
yeah. I feel like the Falcons are going to be very Jekyll and Hyde all year. I think that's just kind of who they are.
Yeah, hopefully more Jekyll than Hyde for this week.
Yeah, Joe. I don't know which one's which, Byron. So
me neither.
I'm going to go 2 games we've already talked about for my next 2 picks. I'm going to go. Yeah, I haven't picked a lot of favorites this week. So I'll do my over first. I'm going to go Eagles, Vikings over 43.5. I wanted to go the Eagles, Giants last week, but being a Thursday night football, I don't like going too early, and obviously that was a mistake, so he got over. I don't think this Eagles defense is amazing. I think the Vikings can score a good 20, and I think the Eagles can put some points too. So 43.5 is not that many. And then I'm going to go my only favorite, which I've chosen, which is actually not a crazy high number, other than the Browns. I'm not choosing the Browns. I'm going to go the Seahawks -3.
Fair. Byron, you need a favorite and an under.
Yes. I will take my favorite to be Mike Vrabel walking back into Tennessee. 7-point favorites. New England cover against Tennessee.
Game.
A genuine revenge game. I don't think Mike Vrabel takes being disrespected well. I don't think he took being fired well. And they're up against an interim head coach on a team that looks like they're real contention for number 1 overall pick again. I think Mike Vrabel's going to put in he wants to go out and put a 50-burger on Tennessee here. And Drake May, we said earlier in our review show for last week, I think he's getting better by the week. Keyshawn Booty had another big game. I think, it's got to be a New England stamp down here.
Do you worry about the bump, the new head coach bump?
Interim coach bump.
I don't know, truthfully. I think that's more of a thing in football, in soccer. But maybe I'm wrong. But normally, it's bad teams that have got the coaches fired, and you can't change all them players overnight. And I think the Titans that roster's not good, is it?
It's not. Cool. The Patriots -7. So you've both got your favorite. So I feel I made a mistake here, and I should have taken the Browns minus the 2.5, but obviously I fucked it. So I'm gonna go. You're both taking your favorite, aren't you? So I need an under, don't I, as well where I'm at. So I'm gonna go. Give me Packers, Cardinals under 44.5.
That was on my mind.
Have you seen Jonathan Cannon's press conference from this week?
Yes. Yeah.
Truly incredible. Mike Vick catching strays. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, that was a bit rough.
Yeah. It was a very long-winded question, and just how have you dealt with this much obviously this many injuries and this much disruption? And he was obviously Jonathan Gannon was obviously assistant coach on the Falcons the year Mike Vick got banged up, and just took some shots at Mike Vick. It was hilarious. I just think I don't think the Cardinals are very good. I think the Packers are really struggling as well. I think they'll be able to. I don't know if we're getting Jacoby Brissett or Kyler this week. If it's Jacoby Brissett, well, he had a good game last week. He's probably not 2 in a row and against a defense that probably will be able to get after him. Just don't see the Cardinals putting up many points this week, and I don't think the Packers are quite flowing offensively. So I feel like a comfortable Packers, low-scoring win. Cardinals maybe get to 10. So, that's where I'm at with that. And then my favorite, give me the Chicago Bears. Bear down, Chicago Bears. Again, I'm going to do picking against the Saints. Okay, let's see if you're serious, Bears. Go and beat the Saints comfortably. You've put three wins in a row now. A couple of late ones, tight games that you've won. You're at home. Go beat the Saints comfortably. Show us that you're serious. You know what? That put them at 5-2.
4-2.
4-2.
4-2. Yeah, got a bye. Yeah, 4-2. Shows you're serious. Take care of the Saints. Beat them by at least a touchdown.
And funnily enough, 4-2 might still be bottom of the division come review show.
Which is wild.
3-2 currently is, so 4-2 could well be as well. I'm very annoyed you took the under Packers Cardinals, Paul. That was going to be my pick. I should have took it instead of the Patriots there. That's really annoying me because I don't love a lot of these over-unders now.
It was an audible. It wasn't on the list. It was an audible.
Yeah, I'm just trying to scramble for an under that I don't hate.
Do you want one of mine?
I don't remember what you've bet. I'm going to... Big number, relatively. I'm going to go under 48.5 Colts Chargers. Maybe we just have a bit of a slugfest game. I don't think Kamani Vidal's running for 400 yards again this week. So, and I don't think Joe Alt's back. So I think the Colts, the Chargers are still going to be a bit dysfunctional on offense. And hopefully the Colts don't score 40 points.
Excellent. Joe, what have you got for us? You need a under.
Yeah. I'll just go with this one. I'm going to Saints Bears under 47. I think 47 is quite high. I think the Saints team has been a lot better than expected. I think they could keep it close. And being in Chicago, I'm guessing the weather's not amazing. Byron probably could tell us it started snowing up here. So We're not too far. So it might be is it going to be a fast track? Oh, okay. We'll see. But yeah, I think 47 is quite a lot. I think it's going to be similar to when the Bears, the Commanders, where it's going to be a close game and hopefully like low 20s.
Cool, excellent. It's our 4-4 challenge in the books. Hopefully, at week 7, lucky number 7 is the one that we finally hit it on. And again, we can catch all the details on our social media channels. ATS then, just to finish it off. I suppose again, not many games we haven't talked about. Oh, we have so many games that we're all on. For fuck's sake. Byron's leading the way in our ATS Picks competition as well. I think he's got 4 games on me. Joe's got some serious work to do to catch up, even at this early stage of the season. He is 15 games back. Bit by bit, Joe. Chip away at it, week by week. So what we got? Anything? Who's standing alone? Just Byron on the Steelers. Just Joe on the Saints against the Bears. Byron on the Dolphins. You like the Dolphins as 2.5-point dogs against the Browns?
Yeah, I think their offense is better than the Browns' offense. But the defense, I don't know. Just give me the points and 2 terrible teams.
You're trying to talk yourself into that.
I don't like any of them, so just give me the points. I've done the same with the Titans Raiders last week and got blown out. So
yeah, have you seen? I assume we've seen Kyler's backtracking this week.
I said Tua's backtracking.
Tua's backtracking. Sorry.
Yeah. It's the same old with Tua. He's great when he can anticipate things, but as soon as he can't anticipate it, he has to scramble and it doesn't work out well for him. Thankfully, when it's just a press conference, he gets to apologize 2 days later. On the field, less positive.
But it was the media that misconstrued what he was saying.
Yeah, you've got a feel for him in a way.
Yeah. Just me on the Chiefs. Chiefs are big. I think I followed it. The Chiefs never cover these spreads. But I think the Raiders are that bad that I think the Chiefs will cover this spread. It's 12 at home. I feel like a big Travis Kelce game in this one. He's usually really, really good against the Raiders. So possibly one for your fantasy daily ones anyway. But yeah, you like the Raiders covering here? They're awful.
I think it's just a big rivalry. Yeah, I think it's a big rivalry. I think even if they lose by 10, 12 is just quite a lot for this kind of game.
Also, just in this game, how many times do we see the Chiefs at home in the 1 o'clock window? I feel like this is such a rarity to see a Chiefs home game in the early window.
Yeah. Well, so many of the games are at prime time as well, so makes sense.
Yeah, but it just feels odd to have a home game in this window. Just me on the Eagles. Obviously, I bet the Eagles minus the 1.5. Joe flying solo on the Carolina Panthers as a favorite. That just never feels right. Byron on the Broncos. Yeah, me and Joe have got the Giants covering, which I feel might be a bad spot. I feel like any spot where it's just me and Joe is a bad spot to be, given performance so far on ATS. All on the Colts. Me and Joe on the Cowboys, for fuck's sake. Me and Joe on the Cowboys. I've taken the Cardinals to cover, which just makes no sense given I've just taken that under.
No, I think it does, though, because I think the Cardinals are still, their point differential is plus, even though they're 2-4.
Yeah.
I think every game has been like 3 or 4 points. I struggled on that one.
And you want to be on the...
Yeah, I suppose.
You want to be on the underdog if you're on the under, because it's only 7 points,
Yeah. All on the Falcons, just Byron on the Bucks and just me on the Houston Texans. Right, that is our NFL Week 7 preview in the books. Here we go, Teams Win Great Teams cover. We'll be back tomorrow, so check out our Fantasy Game Day 10-minute tips. Make sure you are playing Fantasy Game Day. You'll get all the details in there for how you can. Follow us, Good Teams Win Great Teams cover over on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podbean, Overcast, YouTube if you want to see our faces and Joe's great graphics. Plus X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at GTW_GTC. Come see me at Wembley if you're around, if you're down. Come give us a shout. Come and tell me about your bets for the day. I want to hear about them. And we might be offering a little prize for the game as well, possibly, if I get my act together. We'll see you there. If not, come check us out in our review episode on Tuesday.